Coming up on the show today, we'll review Next Door in Shinjuku, an event that had a Super 8-woman preview tag, a brutally hard-hitting kick/tag match, Ref Mike, and a Princess of Princess contract signing. We'll also preview Next Door in Osaka, check in on Maki Itoh and Mina Shirakawa's important matches, and see what this special Texas Talk event is all about. All that and more coming up on the Tokyo Joshi Pod. Stay tuned. Hello to all you big children out there. Konnichiwa, and welcome to the Tokyo Joshi Pod, your weekly dose of everything TJPW. I'm your host, Andy Zeich, and we have one terrific house show to talk about today, but before we get to that, I wanted to just extend a very quick thank you to everyone who reached out, sent me your well wishes after last week's episode where I was talking about my dog being sick. Really means a lot to me, and I'm happy to say she is on the road to her recovery. I had her at the vet over the weekend just to get some tests and things done. And while I don't think this is like anything life-threatening that we're dealing with, you never know. She's getting old now. She's like 12, 13, somewhere in there. So personally, I'd rather take all the precautions that I can and, make sure we're crossing all our T's and dotting all our I's. So thank you again. I won't bore all of you and talk too much about this. I know you guys primarily tune in for the Tej talk, not the dog talk. But again, I thank you for all of your well wishes. One quick housekeeping note. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a monthly bonus episode out for May. Given everything that's been going on with Maddie and then just a few busy weeks at work, I really just haven't had the time to plan one out and record it. But to make up for skipping a month, I'm going to plan on releasing 2 bonus episodes next month in June. One of them, I already have some ideas. One of them is going to be a watch-along for the Grand Princess 2-6 behind-the-scenes documentary. That's something I've been wanting to do really ever since I watched that video. And honestly, I've kind of just been looking for an excuse to rewatch it. So this is the perfect excuse to do that. If you guys have not seen that video yet, this will be the perfect companion piece. It will be like watch along. I'm not going to play the audio, of course, because I don't have the rights to play that audio, but you can put it on your TV and watch along as you listen to me discuss it. But I really loved that documentary, and I think it's a really special, just a really special look inside not only the show, but TJPW as a whole. So I'm really excited to just relive it, re-experience it, and then also chat about it with you guys. The other bonus episode that I have in mind is going to be another TJPW Rewind episode. We haven't had one of these in a few months. In fact, I don't think we've done one since, I think, January or February, where we went back and looked at the debut year for TJPW. That was a lot of fun for me to do, and I know a lot of people enjoyed hearing that. What I want to do for this Rewind episode is go back and cover Hyper Misao's first ever produce show, Hype. We just hit the 3-year anniversary for Hype this past weekend. I think it was on Monday off the top of my head. I just did a social post about it as well. I thought it'd be a great time to revisit that event while we wait for any news about a potential Hype 4. I did speak with someone, it's either in Texas or Las Vegas, who asked Hyper Misao if we can expect Hype 4. And she was kind of like taken aback by it and didn't really have an answer. I don't know if that's a good thing, that maybe it's like she didn't want to say anything, or maybe a bad thing, she wasn't planning it. But regardless, the Hype shows are so well received. If you've seen them before, you know exactly what I'm talking about here and just how good they are. If you haven't seen them, I highly encourage you to watch them. You're in for very much of a treat. And if you have seen them, they're so good that they're worth that rewatch. So I'm really excited to go back and rewatch Hype, the first one from 2023, and then chat about it with all of you. A word to the wise, if you want to watch this in preparation of next month's bonus episode, you can find a lot of fan translations online. The Dramatic DDT WordPress website does a really terrific job of summarizing each of the Hype shows. There's a number of other folks online who do like dialogue translations and whatnot, so you can utilize that as you watch along to understand all of the dialogue and what's being said, the storyline behind it all. But really excited about both of those bonus episodes. Those will both be coming out. I don't have exact dates, but those will both be out in the month of June. On to today's show. Today we're going to review Next Door in Shinjuku, which truly was one heck of a house show with like a really killer preview tag main event, some really good undercard action, some undercard tag matches that were very hard hitting. Also, of course, fair amount of comedy because it's TJPW, right? A lot of good comedy. Ref Mike was a participant in a lot of that comedy as well. Additionally, beyond that Shinjuku show, we're going to preview Next Door in Osaka today. We have a couple of graduates that I want to check in on, namely Maki Itoh and Mina Shirakawa, both of whom had some pretty big matches on pay-per-views recently. So we're going to chat a little bit about those. We did also get the full standalone card that was announced, so we'll briefly run through that. And then there's this like very special talk event about the Texas tour where the TJPW just announced this the other day. So we'll chat a little bit about what the heck that's all about. But bunch that we're going to cover today, so let's go ahead, jump right on in. Let's start with Standalone 2-6, our upcoming Korakuen Hall show on Sunday, June 7th. TJPW has announced the full card for Standalone. We're going to do a full preview of this on next week's show where we'll break down all the matches in more detail, the champions, the preview tags, my picks for who's going to win everything. But I did want to just run through it briefly because it's quite the card, I have to say. Of course, we have all three titles on the line. The Princess of Princess title, Yuki Arai, will be defending against Yuki Kamifuku. The Princess Tag titles are on the line, where Daydream will defend against our Max Heart Tournament runners-up, Mizuki and Uda Takami. And then the International Princess title will be defended as well, Suzume taking on Mahiro Kiryu. In addition to those three matches, we also knew that Mirai was going to be making her return to TJPW again. She was set for a singles contest with Haru Kazushiro. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to previewing that. And then the rest of the card has been announced here. We have two more singles matches. Wakana Uehara will take on Toga, and then Chika Nanase will take on another returning competitor in Yuri. So back-to-back Korakuen Hall shows for Yuri. That's really exciting. I really like Yuri quite a bit. I thought she looked pretty good in last month's Korakuen Hall show. I was very loosely familiar with her. I watched a couple of Ganbare shows and watched her wrestle there. And then there was a very terrific interview that friend of the show, Alessandro, did a few months back with Yuri. That was kind of my introduction to her, but excited that Yuri is coming back here for Standalone. Beyond those two singles matches, we will have a 6-woman tag, Arisu Endo, Sakura Hattori, and Kira Summer. Interesting trio there. They're going to take on the team of Yuki Aino, Ren Kanatsu, and Shion Kanzaki. And then we have another 6-woman tag, but it's not a trios match. It's 2v2v2. So like a tag team 3-way, I guess is the easier way to explain that. We'll have Kiraku Kiyome in that matchup. We'll have Rakupam in that matchup. And then Himawari and Mifu Ishida as Himawari continues to search for a new tag team partner. That match in particular, that 3-way tag match, is sponsored by a local cafe called Twilight Rouge. Twilight Rouge is a vampire school concept cafe. That's quite the mouthful. The interesting thing about this cafe is that it is fully produced by Sumire Uesaka. Uesaka is our current DDT Ironman heavy metalweight champion. She's the voice actress that participated in that Rumble at Grand Princess 2-6 where she won that Ironman title. Uesaka will be in attendance at this event. She's going to be on Japanese commentary. And then the winning team of this 3-way tag match, Uesaka and several of the vampire candidates, I guess the staff members of this vampire school cafe, will be at the event as well. They're going to present the winning team with 1 million R Rouge, which is like the currency that you can use inside of this vampire cafe. This is very, very niche and specific. I think it's just the continued partnership with Sumire as she holds that Ironman title. I would venture to guess that the Ironman title is going to have some sort of a play here, whether it's in this event or this match, I should say, or this event overall. But speaking of that Iron Man title, it is worth noting that Antonio Honda did try to storm the Vampire Cafe Twilight Rouge in hopes of winning back that title for himself, but he was unsuccessful. I think that Sumire hypnotized him or something like that. There's a brief video up on the TJPW X account. It's interesting. No TJPW wrestlers are part of that video, but they still posted it online. It's getting coverage not from DDT, but from TJPW. Just a couple of other little notes about this show. It's confirmed that Miyu Yamashita will indeed be absent from this Korakuen Hall show because this is the same weekend that she's over in the UK, challenging for the EVE International Championship against Chris Statlander. So theorized that might be the case a couple weeks ago. Well, now it is confirmed. Yamashita will miss Standalone. And then a couple of weeks ago, we also talked about the super secret or super special fan event that was happening after this show. And typically these fan events after the Korakuen Hall shows are just meet and greets. You get your picture, you get an autograph. Well, this one was the super special one because there were supposed to be extra activities. Well, we now know what the extra activities are. You can get yourself, a caricature of yourself drawn by one of the TJPW wrestlers. Very random. I believe that they've done this a handful of years ago, they said. So it's making a return in that sense. It's a fun thing. This isn't necessarily news. I just wanted to close the loop on bringing up this super special fan event from a few weeks ago. So nothing too exciting there. But overall, this show is definitely going to be very exciting, I have to say. And like I said, next week on the show, we'll do our full deep dive preview of all of the matches for Standalone. In addition to Standalone, we have a couple of announcements, actually just one new announcement, about Summer Sun Princess 2-6. That will be July's Korakuen Hall show, July 18th to be exact. We knew that Shin Sakura Hirota will be participating, making her TJPW debut. Shin Hirota, Sakura Hirota, is the competitor who does a lot of cosplay and not always comedy, but primarily comedy, where she will cosplay a different wrestler. In addition to Hirota, we also now know that Aja Kong will be on the Summer Sun Princess show as well. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about actually just came out today, or super late last night. Today's Wednesday as I record. TJPW has announced a talk event called TJPW Texas Tour Return Report Meeting. Another mouthful. This talk event's going to happen on June 23rd. That's a Tuesday at the Loft 9 in Shibuya in Tokyo. There are 5 TJPW wrestlers who are going to be a part of this talk event: Yuki Arai, Miyu Yamashita, Mizuki, Yuki Aino, and Arisu Endo. And I think it's best if I just read the description for this event. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's Texas Tour, held in March 2026, 4 events were held in about 1 week, drawing many spectators. Just when it was thought to have ended as a great success, an unbelievable major happening occurred when returning to Japan. In addition to fun memory talk from Texas, this event will finally reveal the truth of the major happening. While the afterglow of the cheers has not yet cooled, their story heads toward an unbelievable conclusion. This is not simply a story of memories from an expedition. It is the biggest incident of the Texas Tour, one of tears and laughter to be engraved in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling history. Now, I will admit, I think a lot of that colorful language comes from the translation versus TJPW themselves. Although who knows, maybe it is TJPW really talking this up. Obviously, the incident in question is the severe travel delays that all of the talent ran into on their way back from the Texas Tour. They were delayed for over 24 hours. They had to, I think, stop in 2 or 3 different locations just to get home. That was all due to the TSA strikes that were happening in Houston at the time. It severely, severely delayed their return to Japan. I think it is kind of fun and funny that TJPW is putting on a talk event for this. This will be live streamed on Twitcasting. If any of you guys are really, really interested in watching it, it's going to be live streamed on Twitcasting For 1,500 yen, that's $10 to purchase a streaming ticket. If you're feeling extra generous, you can purchase the travel loss compensation support ticket for 2,000 yen, which is about $12.50. And if you're feeling the most generous you've ever felt, you can purchase the travel loss compensation full power support ticket for 3,000 yen, which is a little less than $20. That also comes with some photographs from this event as well. I know I'm laughing a little bit and making light of this. This is obviously was a very serious thing that happened to the wrestlers on their way home. It came at a cost. It incurred much more cost than I think they thought they might have spent when it came to this Texas tour. So I like that TJPW is really trying to recoup as much of this lost money as they can. They did the t-shirt sales a month or so ago. Now they're hosting a talk event. And, no harm, no foul with this. If you're local to Japan, you can go and take in this talk event and hear some stories from the wrestlers about their time in Texas and about the whole the experience and the incident that went down. You can also tune in via live stream and hear these stories as well. I think that TJPW is doing everything they can to turn this negative into a positive, recoup some of that money. The last thing I will say, too, is if you buy these compensation support tickets, that extra money goes directly to the wrestlers themselves, because I think they probably had to spend some money out of pocket, for food or for whatever it may be, snacks, drinks on the way home, maybe even more. So I think this is a way to support TJPW, especially when they went through this difficult end to their very successful Texas tour. Okay, no real segue between that news story and our event review, so I'm just going to hard throttle my way right through it. TJPW Spring Tour 2026 Next Door in Shinjuku went down on Friday, May 22nd from the Shinjuku face. This is TJPW's second stop in Shinjuku, specifically at the Shinjuku face, on their spring tour. Their spring tour will be coming to a close in, I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks from now. It doesn't particularly mean anything. There's continuous tours nonstop, but the branding of spring tour will conclude in the next, I think it's 2 weeks from now. This event, though, was live on Wrestle Universe. It was overnight, though. It was a tough watch for us here in the States. This, though, was a little bit under 2 hours, so it's a bit of a shorter show, and that also includes all of the intro festivities and the contract signing for the Princess of Princess title match. So an easy one that you can breeze through, and we'll talk about it in a second. I will highly, highly encourage you to watch this if you haven't already, because this turned out to be one heck of a show. We did have an absent competitor here. Wakana Uehara was unable to attend this event due to some scheduling conflicts. Probably goes without mentioning also Shina Suzuki, not on this show because she is now in her leave of absence. Going forward, I'm not going to mention Shino for every single show. Just assume that Shino is not attending any of these shows. I'll only mention absentee competitors beyond Shino. We did have a full house for this one, which was very encouraging. 335 spectators in attendance. The last time here, as I mentioned, was just about a month ago on the spring tour, where TJPW drew 312, which I also think was a full house. So this was like a super full house. They squeezed in about 20 more people or so. Like I said, all of these Shinjuku Face shows are going to be sold out until Shinjuku Face closes its doors in, I think it's September. And I believe that TJPW said they have like 2 to 3, maybe 4 more stops at Shinjuku Face. So the numbers are certainly dwindling. If you are in Japan or if you are traveling to Japan between now and September, make sure you go to those Shinjuku Face shows, or definitely make sure you watch them on Wrestle Universe, because as of right now, the days of Shinjuku Face are still limited. Hopefully, we'll be able to turn that around, and the owners will maybe find a new venue, or maybe there'll be some way that we can rescue, I say we, but they really can rescue Shinjuku Face. But for now, we'll talk about this Shinjuku Face event. We opened up with the Princess of Princess contract signing for Standalone 2-6. Just some very brief comments here, nothing huge. Kamiyu started this off and said that despite usually avoiding pressure, she wants to answer the support of all of the people cheering for her for this title match, mostly because all of those people cheering for her are just super noisy and she just wants it to stop. Arai noted that Kamiyu is one of the rare opponents that she's faced in multiple title matches, and that their similar movesets make her especially determined not to lose this title defense. Arai promised that she will shine up her boots and throw everything that she has built over 5 years into this match with Kamiyu. Well, Kamiyu quickly said, hey, you know what? You can shine up your boots, but you better not kick me in the face. And that was the end of that contract signing segment. We then get our traditional opening with Rise Shirai giving the remarks and the house rules. We then did get an Up Girls performance where they sang Love You More. Very odd to only see 3 of the Up Girls. Just an odd sight. It just makes me miss Shino. I hope that Shino gets well soon and we see her again soon in a TJPW ring. Our opening contest was a singles match. Raku went one-on-one with Kira Summer. Early on in this one, Raku was posing on the mat a lot. This is like a new thing for her ever since she started this at Yes Wonderland with Mei Suruga. Kira decided to pose with her, which really upset Raku, so Raku left the ring. She briefly led Kira on a chase around Shinjuku face before getting back into the ring and going to sleep. She then hits the Oyasumi Express and the Smile Train pin for 2. Kira gets the upper hand and threatens to chop Raku, and Raku starts crying, and Kira shows her some mercy for all of 2 seconds before she thunderously chopped her across the chest. They trade submissions, Kira with a Boston Crab, Raku with this grounded hammerlock submission that she's been doing of late. I also noticed that when she has this locked in, she does a sleep pose as well, which is pretty cute. Raku ends up wiggling free from a Samoan drop. She connects with a sling blade and then hits the Dr. Yellow in 8 minutes and 6 seconds to beat Kira. And then, of course, after this is over, Raku hits one more pose. Up next was another singles contest. This one saw Pam Harajuku take on Mifu Ashida. And we have Ref Mike again. This was Ref Mike's second show of his brief stint in Japan. Always great to see Ref Mike. Very happy that he had a great time and was able to referee these 2 shows. We started this one off with Ref Mike briefly trading places with Pam because he wanted to show her how you politely say onegaishimasu when you start off the match here and the referee checks you for any foreign objects. And he showed her this in a very normal volume, but of course it didn't work. It's Pam Harajuku. Mike went flying to the floor once again. Mike can't catch a break when it comes to Pam. Pam and Mifu engage in a little bit of a cheering battle to start, trying to get the crowd behind each of them. Pam quickly rolls Mifu up for 2 and then mocks her chance. She ends up hitting the Den Den Daiko using Mifu's pom-poms. I don't know if that makes that hurt anymore or if it just annoys the competitor. Pam continued to mock Mifu, mimicking the crowd. The crowd kept shouting, Ganbare or Go Go, Let's Go, Mifu. And Pam was just mocking and mimicking them the whole time. She hits a few shin kicks. She ends up calling Mifu an idiot, which geez, Pam was really going in hard here on Mifu. Mifu's finally had enough and she cartwheel dodges another shin attack. She hits a cartwheel split leg drop, but Pam just starts screaming to counteract all of this. Mifu fires herself up with some more chance, but Pam shin kicks her one more time, then manages to hit the Palm de Justice and win this one in 5 minutes and 56 seconds. After it was over, Pam takes Mifu's pom-poms and rubs them in her face. Pam was really savage today for some reason. Our next match was a tag team match. On one side, we had Arisu Endo tagging with Shion Kanzaki. And on the other side, we had the return of Prism Greed, Yuki Aino, and Haru Kazushiro. Arisu got the early advantage for her team against Aino, allowing Shion to do her corner Ganbare call and response bit. I still think she needs to quicken that up a little bit, or at least maybe toss some punches in between her calls and responses, because in this particular instance, she was doing this attack or this taunt while both members of Prism Greed were in the corner, and they just kind of stand there and they wait for her to be done. So I think that she can tweak it just a little bit. Aino isn't down for too long though. She uses her strength to get the better of Shion and tag in Haru. Prism Greed make a few quick tags back and forth on the offensive. Shion manages to tag in Arisu, who has a pretty nice exchange with Aino, but Prism Greed end up right back on the attack once again. Shion re-enters to try to mix it up with Haru. Haru gets the better of her, locking in an easy yoi. Arisu comes in to help out. Things break down at this point. Aino eliminates Arisu with a gut-wrench suplex, which allows Haru to hit Shion with a fisherman's suplex. She gets the pin in 9 minutes and 19 seconds. Our next match was another tag team match. Kiraku Kiyome took on the team of Himawari and Ren Kanatsu. Himawari on the search for a new tag team partner with Shino on the shelf. Misao, of course, called for the mic to start this one off, and Ref Mike was our referee for this contest, and they had a really funny bit where Misao goes, "Mike Kudasai," and then Mike looked at her and he was like, "Me? You want me?" Some of the best work of Mike's career, I have to say. Misao went for a few quick roll-ups on Himawari to start this one out. Himawari got so mad that she started with the hair whips pretty early in this one. Shoko then tags in. They basically redo that full sequence of roll-ups and hair whips, except that Shoko manages to escape from the hair whips. Himawari goes for a roll-up of her own, but Kiraku Kiyome make a blind tag, and Himawari doesn't see it, so Mike is refusing to count, which just ticks Himawari off even more. She can't catch a break because Misao quickly brings the cold spray into play, blinding her. Misao claps her hands, invites Shoko to tag in. Her and Himawari trade some roll-ups, and then Misao counts a very quick 3, telling Himawari she's won. I guess the idea here is that Himawari was blinded, and so Misao clapped to make her think that she tagged out when in fact she didn't. So just really bullying is what this boils down to. Himawari was just enraged at this point, and Misao uses that as an excuse to roll her up yet again. But Mike manages to see Misao's feet on the ropes and refuses to count the 3. Himawari gets somewhat of a break here. Ren is like, to heck with all of this, and just jumps on into the ring. The teams trade some tandem offense, but then Misao cheats again by choking Ren with her cape. Ren then takes a very prolonged beating from both members of Kiraku Kiyome. She manages to hit a drop kick and then tag Himawari back in. And like, you bet your butt, Himawari was like fired up to get back in there. She wrestles out of a chicken wing face lock using some hair whips, but falls victim to some more Kiraku Kiyome tandem offense. She uses her strength to grind Shoko's quickness to a halt. I thought it was a really nice display of strength from Himawari. She's someone who is very underratedly strong, I have to say. Himawari tags Ren back in, who immediately gets clocked with a 619. Himawari returns to block a Northern Lights suplex. Misao grabs her by the hair and hits a ripcord knee using Himawari's hair. I thought that was a creative bit. That left Ren and Shoko alone in there. Ren is able to use the distraction to hit the Ares Comet, and then she does slap on that new Rings of Saturn submission that she calls the shoulder bites, but Shoko rolls backwards into a 2 count before she hits back-to-back Northern Lights suplexes, gets the win over Ren in 12 minutes and 7 seconds. In our semifinal of the evening, we had yet another tag match. A lot of tag matches on this show. We saw Chika Nanase and Toga take on the team of Kick Slash. Again, I'm still going to call them Kick Slash until they officially come out with the new team name. Toga and Sakura start us out for some brief speed versus power exchanges. Chika and Yamashita then tag in, and Kick Slash go on a prolonged attack against Chika. Chika somehow manages to get Toga back in there. Toga and Sakura have a really nice hard-hitting back and forth again with some pretty nasty kicks and strikes and lariats. Yamashita tags in to continue that kick assault, and her and Toga bring it to each other for a very brief period of time. Chika comes back in, manages to get the better of Yamashita by dodging a return crush, and she gets a little help from Toga on the side too. She hits her big elbow drop for a pin that's broken up by Sakura. Her and Yamashita then engage in a test of strength over the Inari Tori, which Yamashita comes out on top of. Kick Slash literally kicked the life out of both opponents, and then Yamashita hits a return crush and an attitude adjustment at 11 minutes and 21 seconds to win. My description, it probably doesn't do this justice, but this was like a brutally hard-hitting tag team match that kind of came out of nowhere. Of course, Yamashita is an incredible striker and obviously the leader and has so much experience, right? But like Toga can hit these very strong lariats. Sakura is learning to kick just as strong as Yamashita under Yamashita's wing. And Chika as well has really been honing her power and honing her shoulder tackles, her elbow drops. So I just thought this was a surprisingly solid semifinal that was very brutal, that was very striking focused and strong power-based offense. On to our main event, we had an 8-woman tag team matchup. This was like a super preview tag for all of our upcoming championship matches at Standalone. On one side, all of our champions, Yuki Arai, Suzume, and Daydream, Miyu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi, took on the challengers, Yuki Kamifuku, Mahiro Kiryu, Mizuki, and Uda Takami. This is our second preview tag for all of the championships. The advantages go to Kamiyu, Suzume, and Mizuki and Uda Takami, but worth noting that none of those victors have direct pinfalls over their opponents. Everyone got their own entrance here, so this one took quite a while to get underway. They all shake hands at the beginning, save for Mizuki, who wants nothing to do with Rika Tatsumi. Unsurprising. Arai and Kamiyu start. Somehow they end up simultaneously locking each other in a head scissors. Uda and Rika tag in, and Rika goes absolutely berserk on Uda. Mizuki has to come in to help her out, and Rika's like, "Oh good, you're here," and grabs her hands, which leads to this giant tug of war between the two of them and all of the teams. Mahiro breaks up the tug of war, immediately grabs Rika and apologizes for not knowing what's going on. "You and me both, Mahiro." Rika responds by choking Mahiro and then choking Uda. Rika and Uda are still the legal two technically. Watanabe tags in to manhandle Uda for a little bit. Then we get a brief exchange between her and Mahiro and Suzume, Mahiro and Arai. Mahiro just gets her butt kicked during most of this stretch, unfortunately. Kamiyu comes back in with a springboard big boot on Arai and a huge boot to the corner. The two trade boots and kicks, and then Kamiyu gets in the octopus stretch. Arai manages to hit a full Nelson Buster and tag in Watanabe. This is a pretty interesting pairing. Watanabe gets Kamiyu up for the Canadian backbreaker, but Kamiyu pokes her in the eyes and hits a brainbuster. In comes Mizuki for a classic stretch with Watanabe. She makes a couple quick tags with Uda, and they hit some tandem offense. Watanabe outpowers both and hits a double slam. Rika is way too eager to tag in. She hits a missile hip onto Mizuki, followed by a backbreaker and a sleeper hold, which she's just hugging her, right? She loves her. That's all it is. Mizuki rolls through into a stomp, attempts a running maneuver, but Rika counters it into a white dragon sleeper. Again, just giving her some loving, that's all. The challengers break it up, and then all hell breaks loose here. Mizuki hits a crossbody while Rika's in the ropes, and they end up tumbling to the floor. Watanabe jumps in, and Daydream try to go for a Daydream Eternity back in the ring. Uda comes in to help Mizuki, and both teams are rapid firing on each other until they all end up down in the middle of the ring. Mahiro and Suzume then tag in. Suzume hits a top rope crossbody, but Mahiro stops a facebuster attempt. Kamiyu runs in, and then we get some classic Toyo Mates tandem offense. Been a minute since we had that. Arai comes back in to brawl with Kamiyu. Kamiyu boots her and hits a famouser. Suzume manages to hit a basement ring-a-bell on Mahiro. Mahiro, though, ducks a running facebuster and catches the ring-a-bell into a sidewalk slam. That was pretty creative. She then hits a spinebuster, and Mahiro Kiryu pins Suzume in 15 minutes and 20 seconds. What a final few minutes of this matchup. Afterwards, as the challengers celebrate their victory, Daydream jump in the ring and they abduct Mizuki and bring her into the back. Mahiro gets on the microphone, very nonplussed by what just happened, and tells Suzume she will carry this momentum into Korakuen Hall next month. So some big words from our IP title challenger. Kamiyu said that Arai mentioning their previous title matches really got her thinking, and she blamed Mahiro for the Toyo Mates losing their Princess Tag Team Challenge. And Mahiro was like, "Are you serious? Why would you bring that up right now? That's no reason to say that." They bickered for a little bit, and Mahiro ended up closing out the show with a classic call-in response that I really hope becomes a thing. "We are very sorry." Love that. Backstage, Kamiyu said that Mahiro was truly the number one in the match. Mahiro said it was fun that both of them are challenging for belts at the same show. Kamiyu said that her parents are going to be attending standalone, so Arai better not kick her in the face anymore. Suzume felt that she dragged the championship team down by losing, but Arai reminded her about the rematch that is set for next week. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Arai said the more that Kamiyu polishes up her face, the more she wants to just kick her right in it. Rika and Miyu celebrated not getting pinned. They considered that a victory here, and they also considered capturing Mizuki another victory, who was still in their arms at this point. And they said, you know what, let's celebrate. Let's talk about our dinner plans. Where should we go? Where should we bring Mizuki? Uda bursts in as this is all going down and shoves some ice cream cones into their mouths, saying they can't have Mizuki-san. Miyu and Rika agreed that the ice cream was delicious, but they vowed not to forget this very strange attack next week in Osaka. A really good show overall. It was nicely balanced with some comedy, some great wrestling. The main event was terrific, especially like the last 5-minute stretch where everyone just went full send against each other. You had the Princess tag titled foursome going back and forth. You had Suzume and Mahiro, and then you have Arai and Kamiyu jump in there, eliminate each other, and then the final stretch where Mahiro gets the upper hand. Just a terrific 5-minute stretch of wrestling, but honestly the whole match was very, very good. I also am really looking forward to the rematch for that next week. Again, talk about that in just a second. Put a pin in that. The kick slash tag I thought was also surprisingly pretty good. All 4 ladies just beating the heck out of one another in that one. You toss in some palm silliness, dash of Misao and Himawari, a little bit of improved Raku wrestling, and you got one show that's definitely worth checking out. I would recommend everything on this one. And again, it is when you eliminate the contract signing for the Princess of Princess tag match, it's probably closer to an hour and 45 minutes. So very, very easy watching. So I mentioned it a few times there, but we actually have a rematch for this main event on next week's show. So let's segue into our preview of TJPW Spring Tour 2026 Next Door in Osaka. This will take place on Saturday, May 30th from the Azalea Taisho Hall. Unfortunately, it's going to be video on demand, but it will be releasing on Wrestle Universe on Tuesday, June 2nd. No absences for this show again outside of Shino Suzuki. That'll be the last time I mention that, but no absences for this one. We have a singles contest, a 3-way contest, 3 tag matches, and then the 8-woman tag rematch. So let's go ahead and run through these in no particular order, although I do think that 8-woman tag is the main event. But for the undercard, in no particular order here, the singles match will see Arisu Endo go one-on-one with Shion Kanzaki. Honestly, that might be Shion's toughest test to date. I think that she had a fight against Kamiyu, but I mean, Arisu's had one heck of a 3 or 4 month stretch here, so probably even more if you date back to her winning the International Princess title. So tall task here for Shion. The 3-way match will see Sakura Hattori, Mifu Ishida, and Ren Kanatsu mix it up. Feels like a win for Sakura, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Mifu's able to get crafty and pull one out. Maybe even Ren, too. On to the 3 tag matchups. One of them will see Rakupam teaming together to face off against Hyper Misao and Kira Summer. That's an interesting pairing, Hyper Misao and Kira Summer. We'll have to see how those two work together. We will then see Miyu Yamashita and Toga tag together to face off against Wakana Uehara and Shoko Nakajima. Again, some pretty interesting tag pairings on both sides for this one, although worth noting Wakana and Shoko did team together in Austin when they faced the Inspiration. So maybe there's a little bit of experience there, but again, interesting pairings. The 3rd tag match will see Prism Greed going up against Himawari and Chika Nanase. Again, Himawari still searching for that new tag partner. She seems to be auditioning quite a few of them in Shina's absence. And then we have the 8-woman tag team match main event. Same teams, all of our champions, Yuki Arai, Suzume, and Daydream, will face off against all of our challengers, Kamiyu, Mahiro, Mizuki, and Uda. This will be the 3rd preview tag for all 3 of these matchups, and likely the last preview tag as well, because after this show, our next event will be Standalone 2-6. So to briefly reset the advantages after this week's main event, Kamiyu is up 2-0 in preview tags, although she does not have a direct pinfall against Arai. Suzume and Mahiro are split even 1 apiece. Suzume was just pinned by Mahiro in that match we spoke about. And then Mizuki and Uda Takami also have a 2-0 advantage against Daydream, but again, no direct pinfall against the champions. After this week's main event, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what they do here. I think we'll see a lot of the same, but I do think they will mix it up a little bit to make it a little bit different as well. Perhaps we'll see Arai or Kamiyu get a pinfall against one another. My good friends over at Talk Joshi, Matt Turner, Andy Header, shout outs to them. Give their show a listen. They are thinking perhaps Mahiro wins again, and they keep building up Mahiro pretty strong. I think that's a strong possibility. I also think this is a rare instance where we might see a TJPW time limit draw. We hardly ever see those. TJPW is very specific about when they use those time limit draws. This feels like it could be a chance where they'll pull one of those out. But who knows? Just to round everything out, maybe we'll see Uda Takami and Rika pick up a fall somewhere. So I do think the possibilities are endless, but all that being said, really looking forward to checking this one out. Again, video on demand, unfortunately. It will be taking place on Saturday the 30th, will not be uploaded until Tuesday, June 2nd. We're not done just yet, though. A couple of graduates to check in on, a couple of excursions as well. Starting on the graduate side of things, 2 graduates had some pretty big-time matches on pay-per-views in the past week. We'll start with Maki Itoh. Maki Itoh challenged Sayaka Kurara for her World of Stardom title on, it was Saturday, May 23rd at Queen's Dynasty. Maki Itoh was unfortunately unsuccessful in her challenge against Sayaka Kurara. I don't think that comes as too much of a surprise. Nothing against Maki. Maki is terrific. I'm happy that she's having so much success outside of TJPW, but I think with Sayaka just winning that championship, we can sit here and debate how strong of a champion she is. That I'm not going to go down that path, but just given the recent timing of her winning that belt, it felt unlikely that Maki would win. But overall, a solid challenge for Maki. Maki has now gone off to do this bit where she is like very emo and unhappy and I don't know if depressed is the right word, but she's now doing this bit where she never smiles. Maki is just a joy, man. Maki's so creative and so fun and funny to watch, and I think she's bringing a refreshing kind of sense of just fun into Stardom. Not that Stardom lacked a lot of fun. They had Saki Kashima, and I mean, in years past, they were always very had some comedy to it, but Stardom is in general looked at as a more, I don't want to say serious promotion. That seems a little bit of a slight against some of the others, but very like in-ring focused. And Maki just is a breath of fresh air to counteract all of those very intense competitors like the Shuris of the world, the Micahs of the world, the Starlight Kids of the world. Just a breath of fresh air, especially with Saki Kashima retiring as well. So she really fills that void quite nicely. The other alumni I want to check in on is Mina Shirakawa. Mina Shirakawa had a match at AEW's Double or Nothing just this past Sunday on May 24th. She was in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. She had a quarterfinals matchup against Athena, a pretty good match. They suffered a little bit in their placement on the card. They had some really terrific stuff before them. Honestly, all of Double or Nothing was one heck of a show. Unfortunately, Mina did lose in the quarterfinals here to Athena, so Athena remains strong. Of course, her Ring of Honor title was not on the line here, but Mina early exit in this Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. I'll give a little shout out as well because this Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament also has Sari that's supposed to be on it, and Hazuki as well from Stardom. So some nice Japanese representation here, which was really exciting to see when these brackets came out. Onto the Excursions side of things, nothing new here. We did have one show take place this past weekend on Sunday, May 24th. Choco Pro, they celebrated, I should say, Mei Suruga's 8th anniversary at a show called Apple Universe, the 8th launch. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet, primarily because it hasn't been posted yet. I don't think anybody has had a chance to watch it unless you were there live. For these bigger shows that don't take place at Choco Pro's traditional little like office square location, the old like dentist office, they usually are posted a little bit on delay. So once this goes up, we'll chat about a couple of these matches, but we do have some TJPW representation. Suzume was taking on Miya Yotsuba, And I will say I haven't spoiled myself either, so I do not know who won these just yet, but as I watch it, we'll cover it on a future show. Also, Mirai was on this show. She faced off against Chie Koshikawa. And then Mei Suruga was in the main event, of course, for her anniversary, and she faced off against her Best Bros tag partner, Bali and Aki. Also some TJPW connection there with Aki doing a lot of commentary. Chocopro shows are usually pretty good. I'm not like really well versed in it, but I have always enjoyed the shows that I've checked out. Mei Suruga's a lot of fun. Bali and Aki's pretty good. Obviously Suzume, Mirai, and then I don't know too many of the other players in Choco Pro, but from what I've seen, I haven't been disappointed. So looking forward to that when that one gets released. All of the Choco Pro shows are on YouTube, so definitely worth checking out. There is no paywall for any of the Choco Pro shows. And then just as a reminder, we have 2 excursions on the horizon. Friday, June 5th, that's coming up in just about a week or so. Eve 150 History Makers Rule Breakers, Miyu Yamashita challenging Chris Statlander for her Eve International title. So going to look forward to that. The Eve shows are on YouTube, but they are behind a paywall, but I think it's like $8 to $10. So well worth the cost of admission there. And then further out in July on the 26th, we've been keeping our eyes on Kitsune's Stay With Me, which will be in Los Angeles. They have Sayori Namba as their MC. And then even further down the line, Kitsune is going to have a show at the end of August. No announcements for that one just yet, but we'll have to wait and see if Kitsune brings in any TJPW adjacent talent. I'm going to try to attend, if not both of these shows, one of these shows. It's just going to depend on my schedule, how my dog does in the coming months and everything, how kind of all of that settles out. But I went to a Kitsune show, I want to say it was last summer before they went on hiatus. Had a great time. They had Miyu Yamashita on that show, along with a host of other Joshi wrestlers as well. And it was a lot of fun, great night out. So looking forward to that when it does come through. And with that said, that will bring us to the end of this episode. Go ahead, grab your cold spray and your ice packs, because on next week's episode, we're going to review Next Door in Osaka with that terrific rematch for that 8-woman preview tag. Really looking forward to that. Also next week, we're going to preview Standalone 2-6. It's already here, so that's going to be a lot of fun to break down the title matches, the undercard matches, and whatever that Twilight Rouge championship, I don't know, whatever that Twilight Rouge match is going to be. That's going to be, I'm expecting some shenanigans with the Iron Man title. I'll just say that. I hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss any future episodes. You can follow us at Tokyo Joshi Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X. If you want to email the show, tokyojoshipod@gmail.com. But above all else, remember to keep your hearts burning, stay magical, my friends, and we'll see you next week on the Tokyo Joshi Pod.